Yes.
Coach James Williams used in tackle blocks, used as single high safety. What about his game allows him to be so versatile within his many roles?
Well, James is obviously he's a big person. He's long. He's big. He's strong. He runs very well. So that created some opportunities for us to in our matchup packages to put him in different places. And so that's we kind of knew that was probably coming a long time, and so been working on it. And he's adjusted very well. I mean, you have to understand when he's out there, and normally when he's out there, that's about 90% pass, screen, draw down. So we're not asking him to go in the box and play the A gap and fit the run. He could probably do it, but we're not asking him to do that in that package.
Does he remind you of anyone you've ever coached? He's such a unique 6'5" safety. Like, does he remind you of anyone you've coached or seen in the past?
Well, in terms of looking different than most of the people at that position look, at one of the places I was at, we had a guy named Antonio Camardi who was a corner, and he looked like a hybrid between a big safety and an outside linebacker, but yet he was a corner. There's been a few here and there through the years where you just got big bodies at certain positions looked a little different.
Overall, just after watching the tape, what you like, what he does,
Well, the first thing you need to know is there will never, ever, that I know of, I've never seen one, I don't think there will be one. If there was, I'd probably be out of a job in a good way, in that there's always things that you do well in games. And there's always a checklist of, okay, how can we improve this? We've got to improve this. We've got to improve that. And that becomes because a lot of it comes because offenses are very diversified now. A lot of different formations, a lot of different motions, a lot of different things. And not all that's on tape. And so you get some unexpected sometimes, and you have to get over and draw on the board and get it adjusted, which they did a very good job of adjusting things during that game, because that was a little bit different in that we had no tape on the offensive coordinator since really 19. So we had to go all the way back to 18, 19 tape to see how he was going to call it, but that's different players than he had there. None of those quarterbacks were on tape. We had to go to high school tape to see that. So all of those adjustments in the game, I thought they adjusted well, but there were things that we improved in tackling, but there's still and always will be room for improvement there. And it was not egregious in terms of the things we had happen, but we want zero. And so we'll improve that. Obviously, we're always continuing up on the line of scrimmage. You can ask me every week, it's going to be the same thing of pad leverage, block destruction, hands and hand placement, playing with good pad leverage. Back end technique wise, you have to, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of formations, a lot of motions, and guys are on the move and applying their technique, and so we have to stay on top of that. I think probably one of the things that we can play a little tighter in our coverage. We're a little bit more used to being tight in our coverage, and there was some looseness in our coverage. Need to get our linebackers a little bit more comfortable in some of the calls that we have in terms of their drops and things. But that's the stuff to improve. Check. There were a ton of good things. I mean, we had, I think, 20 runs were called. They ran it for 25 yards. We do a pro stats because you get no basis of real evaluation if a quarterback scramble, which was not a good thing, by the way, because there were 68 yards of quarterback scramble. And that's, we got to get that taken care of, setting the edge in our rush. But that doesn't really tell you what your run defense is. And in college football, that goes on the run. Well, it's a pass call. It happens many times after the plays broke down in a pass call. So it doesn't tell you anything about run defense. The run defense was 20 call runs, 25 yards, 1.3 yards per carry, that's good fits on the runs. That's a pretty good job. Now it was skewed a little bit because we did have one. They popped one out there on us, and we had a block in the back. I think he would have made the tackle, but you never know. Should have made it, but he got blocked in the back. That would have probably been about a 10 or 12-yard run at the most because we missed a tackle. So, but that, they can't count what they didn't get.
The touchdown was
It wasn't his.
Wasn't his guy?
No, 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 no. Wasn't his.
Can you talk about
But I don't ever talk about errors and say, okay, this guy, that guy, and that guy, but I do clarify when it's not. It wasn't his.
Can you talk about linebackers a little bit?
He was actually a rusher.
Caleb comes from UCLA. I think there was an assumption that he would be a starter or whatever, but I guess Corey beat him out in training camp. Or can you talk a little bit about what's going on with linebackers?
Yeah, that's not exactly accurate, and I appreciate you saying that. I mean, you've heard what we've said about depth chart. You have, and like I said, we could tear this thing up. It really could. I mean, they rotate. They deserve to play. Who plays the first play? You could flip a coin. And so I think it got a little bit more imbalanced than we wanted it to get because of rotation of drives. Probably need to do a little better job of. It was not far off, but a little bit more balanced in terms of. But he's done a good job. He's got great attitude. The players are convinced of what I'm telling you. It's one thing to say, okay, this is the first team guy and he plays every snap, and this guy goes in when we're way ahead or somebody's hurt. That's not the way we're built there. They know that. So, but he's played really, really good. So, but nobody's beat anybody out. And if they did, then you know what? We're going to go out there tomorrow and see if it can go the other way, because we're going to compete for the job every day, every way. And so nobody, and they understand this. I mean, it's about competing against our opponent, but it's also about making each other better. I work harder, you have to work harder. So if you want playing time. And so that's healthy.
What did you think of Team Mesidor, first game at UM, and he sacked, big pass for a pick? What do you see from him?
Well, number one is he played very good, very good. The thing that probably goes unnoticed is how much he applied his technique almost to a clinic tape. When you could take many clips out of that and put it on the clinic tape to go on the speaking tour of this is how we play this and this is how we play that. It was very, very impressive. So he affected others around him, us in a positive way, them in a negative way, and did it with good technique and good effort, and it was impressive.
I think you guys played 12 defensive linemen, at least a dozen snaps, which is obviously like what you guys have been talking about. But just how did that go? Obviously, it's a lot of moving pieces. But you see benefits of it. How did that process go?
Well, it was interesting to say the least when you're trying to call it, and sometimes you know what strengths and weaknesses or who's out there, and so you're trying to call it, so it makes it a little bit hard sometimes. I think we played 17 in all, and then 12, like you said, multiple snaps. It keeps them fresh. There'll be games though where we have to get in sync, and it may be 6 out there. But I think it speaks well of those guys, of how they've competed and earned playing time, because that was not given to them. That wasn't, hey, let's keep somebody happy and make sure he plays so his mom doesn't say I drove all the way here to watch you play and you didn't get to play. It wasn't that. I mean, we're going to play the guys that earned it. They earned it.
Who did the best job outside of Mesidor? He plays both.
Well, I think Corey. Are you talking about the D-line? Well, Harrison Hunt, really played with a good motor, played good technique. Darryl, he commanded double teams. You have to double team him. I'll forget somebody, sure as I stand here. Leonard Taylor, LT, I thought he made a big jump from his freshman year to his sophomore year. It showed up on film.
You were going to talk about Corey Flagg, who's defensive player of the game for you guys.
With Mesidor, yes. He did a good job of quarterbacking, did a good job of tackling, and his run fits were really good.
Do a couple more for Coach Steele.
Coach, wasn't it the same? Mario was talking a lot about him.
Yeah. Well, he is a young guy he's got tons of ability. It's very, very, the game's important to him. He has a lot of pride in what he does. It's important to him. He doesn't require reteaching. He stays on top of what is in front of him, and he's just making He's growing every day, and so that's one of those guys that you could see game 4, 5, 6. You could see it just the light completely come on for him. I mean, it's not flickering, it's on, but you could see it bright.
Coach, Southern Miss, Frank Wood Jr. coming in, talking about him, playing as well.
Well, there's one ball out there, and usually it's in his hands. So we got 11 guys, and if you got to be in your gap and set the edge and get everybody to the football, no different than if it was Barry Sanders or Gore Jr. I mean, that's just the way it works. He's got really good vision, got good instincts, and he's going to touch the ball a lot. 32 times last week. That's a lot.
Do one more for Coach Steele.
Coach, they use a lot of different players in some of this under center. They used 4 under center in week 1. They had games they used as much as 7 players under center last season. How do you go about preparing for how many different players can take these snaps for a game?
Well, you probably heard this before, maybe not in a press conference, but that's a good question. Will, the head coach, is a brilliant man. He's a very, very, very smart football coach, and I've known him a long time, have a lot of respect for him. The reason you're seeing what they're doing is they've had injuries at quarterback last year, his first year there, and this year. And so because of those injuries, they've kind of gone to the wildcat, if you will, because of the quarterback situation, I think. I don't know that. I was told that. So what he's done is he's kind of built, there's a couple of different offenses in this thing. There's the wildcat offense, then there's the, if you will, the hybrid between the old Nebraska and the Georgia Southern style offense, and then there's the traditional offense that you see our offense run. And they're distinctly different. They're packaged, and it presents a lot of issues in terms of putting a game plan together, because it's actually three very different plans in one.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.